Thank you for joining us. Welcome to our webinar today on how to save 5 to 30 hours per week on payroll and a variety of ways to save on year-end payroll processing mistakes. My name is Denise Loader-Cook, and I'm the President CEO of EBS Associates. EBS Associates is a nationally recognized business. We provide virtual accounting services, including full charge bookkeeping, project accounting, financial controller services, data migration services, software implementation, and a variety of consulting and training. EBS Associates is an Intuit Premier reseller. We are authorized by Intuit to sell, implement, and support QuickBooks software. The best part of this is we are also a T-Sheets preferred reseller and solution provider. We were introduced to this product about a year and a half ago. We absolutely love it, and EBS uses it ourselves. I would like to introduce Kelly Batchhoffner, who you just heard from, and Joy Huffman, some of you might know her, from EBS Associates. Kelly is my veteran assistant of 8 years, keeps things running around here, and Joy is a seasoned QuickBooks consultant for EBS Associates, specializing in payroll and software implementation. You say hi, Joy. Hi, Joy. Now to my friends Noah Rainey and Jason Shipp from Intuit. So happy you're with us today. Noah is an account executive for Intuit. We work well with him. And Jason is a bigwig over at Intuit. Still don't know his title, but he's very good at what he does. I've been working with these guys for many years, and they are both wonderful. You guys owe me. They will be demonstrating to you the differences in the Intuit payroll options. Noah and Jason, you guys ready to take it from here?
Sure, thanks, Denise. Kelly, you want to go ahead and switch it over? Perfect. Well, thank you for that introduction. And just to be clear, my title here, I'm the Customer Service Manager for the Account Professional Setup Department. So Noah's our guy that'll help you get the product sold and underway, make sure it's the right product you like, and then my group takes care of it and works closely with EBS and with you guys on your business and get your account up and running. So real quick, we just want to share a couple things about Intuit. You know, we're talking about the ways that you can save time and also avoid mistakes. A lot of people, you know, unfortunately get into bad situations when it comes to payroll simply by not knowing, right? There's so many laws, so many compliance rules, regulations, and there's a lot changing. You know, our government's changing things almost yearly now, so we have a lot of stuff going on out there that impacts payroll. The best way to avoid mistakes is to let us help you. You know, EBS has been around for a long time. Denise and her crew are a great bunch of people to work with. We've had a lot of fun working with them, and, you know, we're really just there to help make your jobs easier. We'll talk about things later as far as why to change and why we recommend you have a payroll solution. You know, we can give you time back, and for me as a manager of people and trying to run my business, time is always precious for me, so we'll get into that in just a little bit. The best part is all of our services, from what EBS offers, what Intuit offers, and what T-Sheets offers, the main purpose of what we do is to help keep you in compliance and to help your business be safe. We've got products and solutions that we can offer to you, you know, to make sure you don't see any penalties, fines, anything like that, that you know, you get that letter in the mail from the IRS and you just start cringing, right? So we're here to help remove that fear for you. And really the cool thing about what we do and why you want a payroll solution is really because, you know, I'm a big sports fan. If you think about it in the sports world, you know, you're kind of getting that opportunity to have the first pick in the draft. And, you know, by going with EBS, T-Sheets, and Intuit, you're really building that core team behind you that's there for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You know, we can get you help whenever you need it. Denise knows how to get a hold of us just about any time of the day. So you can always reach out and get help, and we'll figure things out for you. You know, adding a payroll solution, sometimes people will ask their friends or their other business partners, would you do it? And they may be skeptical and things like that. But at the end of the day, when you think of all the time you're spending, all the resources you're using, and all that energy that you're not spending building up your business but worrying about the simple payroll behind that, we can help move that out of the way for you. You can spend more time with your customers, more time in the front of your business, building it up, adding a new location, hiring more employees, things like that. And so, you know, let us do what we're good at for you and make sure we stand in your corner all the time, and then you can be out front just promoting your business. The things we're here to help share with you about today is 2 of our large payroll offerings. So we have enhanced payroll, which is more of what we call kind of the do-it-yourself payroll. Between a combination of you and EBS, you do a lot of the payroll piece of it, but then they can help you do the filing and the year-end W-2s, W-3s, things like that. Our other solution is our assisted payroll, which basically same kind of concept, but yet then Intuit gets in the game for you a little bit more, and we do all the filing quarterly. We do all the year-end filing. We provide W-2s and send them out to your employees for you at the end of the year, and we can help with information like that. The great thing about these products is that we have a solution built inside of QuickBooks. So these payroll offerings are built with inside QuickBooks, so not only can you do your payroll, but you can also do your business accounting. So today, if you're like some of our other clients we see, a lot of people do it on spreadsheets. Not a bad thing, but you know, QuickBooks gives you a lot more readily available reports, a lot easier and less time-consuming information, and you can get drill down details, so you can get right to that specific number you want to look at. The other great part about it is it's integrated. You don't have to worry about it. We've got it on our servers. It'll be on your desktops as well. You know, the flow between us and you is very less time consuming. You can do it quickly. So just using the product and getting what you need, you know, you're in and out with a couple of clicks of information, and especially using the data from T-Sheets, it moves even faster. We get you up and running, you run payroll, and you're out of there. So we're excited to talk to you about this today. You know, I think about it like this: if you could just have a whole bunch of little minions running around, your day would go a whole lot better. Well, guess what? We can be your minions. So if this looks like something you want to add on, you know, we're here to take your questions, and we'll help you out. And then lastly, like I mentioned in the beginning, there are some other things outside of payroll we can help you with as well that you may or may not know about. So things that you're responsible for owning a small business is compliance posters, or what we call labor law posters. Those are the ones that are usually on the walls you see with minimum wage rates on them and all of that. And workers' compensation, we also have a pay-as-you-go solution. So if you're interested in that, let us know. We'll be happy to talk to you about it. So Denise, I think that's it I've got for you until we open it up for some questions.
That's super great. Thank you both today, Noah and Jason. We're going to take our questions at the end of the panel, which will be great. For those of you with questions, hold on to them. Like I just said, we're going to take a look at T-Sheets, and then we're going to have a nice panel discussion, and you guys get to ask questions until you don't have any left. I'd like now to introduce Kelly with a B, because I still can't say her last name. Love her. Just say it, Kelly. Help me out here.
Beestrichanu, like
yeah.
Think like a beast, you know.
Yeah, so if any of you out there have known Kelly for almost 2 years, I still can't say her last name, but I love her to death. And Debbie Berkman from T-Sheets. We have actually been blessed today at EBS here in Portland, Oregon. I just picked up Kelly and Jen from T-Sheets, and they're going to spend the whole day here. We're going to be brainstorming about our conference that we're going to be having live, Empowered Northwest, April 26th and 27th at the Oregon Golf Club. So if you want more information on that, please go to our website and put your name in, and we'll make sure that, save the date, and we'll make sure you get more information when that's ready to go. So thank you for coming out here, Kelly, and thank you for coming out here, Jen. T-Sheets is the #1 rated app for Intuit. T-Sheets is about to demonstrate what a fabulous product they offer that EBS fully supports by providing implementation and training services. You gals ready to demonstrate to these webinar attendees how they can save time using T-Sheets and the integration between T-Sheets and QuickBooks?
Absolutely. Denise, thanks so much for that warm introduction and for having us here on site at your office today. We have had such a great past couple of years working with EBS. It's developed into such a cool partnership mostly out of the mutual desire to, as was referenced to earlier, give people back the gift of time. I thought that was such a cool part of the Intuit presentation because that's something we talk about all the time at T-Sheets. T-Sheets is not a payroll application. It's an application that exists specifically for the time tracking portion of payroll, which is, let's face it, for anyone who's ever ran payroll or had to compile it for a business, that's the most cumbersome, time-consuming part of getting payroll together, especially if you're dealing with spreadsheets or paper time cards. It can be such a headache, and so we love getting to work with great implementation partners like the folks here at EBS, and then obviously in partnership and integration with all of the wonderful Intuit payroll products. It helps makes our lives and then all of our customers' lives really easy. So Debbie is going to log in and show you guys a little bit about our product itself. All I'm going to mention is that it's a totally cloud-based product, so you can access T-Sheets from anywhere that you can jump on the internet. You're going to be able to log in and track your time with T-Sheets. And from there, I'm going to let Debbie take it away.
Thank you, Kelly, and thank you, everyone, for this opportunity to just to kind of show a little bit about T-Sheets today, and really the integration between T-Sheets and QuickBooks is amazing because we can do a lot where the time itself is concerned, and then send it on over to QuickBooks where really there's so much power in what you can do within QuickBooks with that time. So just to hit a few highlights here of T-Sheets, one is this Who's Working window on the right-hand side. Great way to see at a glance who's on the clock, who isn't, what are they working on, where are they. If they logged in using a mobile app, and unfortunately I don't have any of my people logged in with a mobile app right now, but there would be a little bitty icon right here where you could click on that button and see where they are according to GPS location. So that is a handy little feature within T-Sheets, especially when you have employees that aren't sitting right there in the same office with you. For tracking time itself, you can do it through a punched out time card, which is right here, capturing very accurate start and stop times. You can see here that I have not only my customers and my sub-jobs, but I can also track time against things like service items that I pulled over from QuickBooks. I can turn on a billable yes or no choice. If need be, we can track time against classes as well. And then when that time goes back over into QuickBooks, if you can just visualize your weekly timesheet within QuickBooks for a moment, we'll have the customer and sub-job fields completed, the service item field completed, class item field completed, that billable yes or no box checked if as appropriate, and then we have a free text notes field down here with a 2,000 character limit, and this free text notes field flows over into the description field in that weekly timesheet within QuickBooks, and from there, if you're creating invoicing or invoices for that billable time, those notes that you put on your weekly time or on your timesheet within QuickBooks, my words are not coming out well. The notes put in your timesheet in T-Sheets will flow over into your weekly timesheets in QuickBooks and then onto that invoice. So it's really very efficient in that we can just grab the time in T-Sheets, send it to QuickBooks, and then from QuickBooks there's so many things you can do with it. If you're not too worried about punch style time card capturing start and stop times, we do have a manual time card that you could use instead, very much like paper and pencil, where with this one you're just entering in the number of hours. So maybe I worked 5 hours on this particular project today. I can still enter in that service item and whether or not it's billable. I just have one choice for Redington Estate. Everything for that job is billable, and I selected that in T-Sheets. Again, I have a free text notes field where I can put in up to 2,000 characters of notes as to what I did on that project today. And once we, as soon as we send this over to QuickBooks, it's populating that weekly timesheet. Now, after you have time in T-Sheets, what do you then do with it? Well, there's a couple different places where you can make edits or manage the time, and then after that time has been corrected, if necessary, we can run some reports. One report that's extremely important is what we call our approvals report. With this one, we can take a look at individuals' time. For example, Elizabeth worked almost 46 hours last week. We can find out what she did during that 46 hours by viewing her details. I can see the breakdown by job. I can see the breakdown by timesheet. This shows me the number of hours in a day. No in and out times means she used manual time entry. With the in and out times, it means that she used the punch style. the customer, what she selected for billable, yes or no, the service item, any notes that she put on there. And I can also edit these timesheets right here. So perhaps on Wednesday, this time should have been marked billable. I can just hit my little edit button, go to Wednesday, switch that from billable no to billable, or from billable yes to billable no. There we go. Maybe that shouldn't have been billable. I can enter any additional notes if need be. Just save that timesheet, and my report itself has been updated. Okay, so Wednesday is now not billable as opposed to when it did say billable a moment ago. When I'm happy with the time that's in there, I can just hit approve. It locks down those timesheets for editing, and now I'm free to export those over to QuickBooks. You have to approve the time in T-sheets before it can be exported to QuickBooks, because of course in QuickBooks you can run your payroll, you can run your invoices, and we don't want that, those activities to be done on time that is not correct. So approvals report, extremely important. My favorite report within T-sheets is actually our project report. I'm going to run this for a custom date range. I have choices as to what kind of time frames I want to run these reports for, but for this one I'm just going to pick last month. And when I run this report, I see a breakdown of every single customer we track time against. When the employees are broken out into groups, we get the breakdown by group, by employee, by billable. So most of the time last month, 47% was marked not billable, 44% was billable, and then a smaller percentage I didn't have billable turned on yet, so it's not marked yes or no. So with this, if if my billable time should be more like 3/4 of the time, and it's only 44%, I know I have an issue. I need to address that and get more billable hours in there. For a period of time, I also had classes turned on within T-sheets, so you can get that breakdown by class, and you can get the breakdown by service item. And you can drill down even tighter on these if I want to know what's this 26%. 26% of my time has been spent on framing for a service item. If I click on that piece of the pie, now I can look at how much of that framing time was billable, yes or no, which employees did framing work, which customers did we do framing work for. So from this report, we can manipulate that time data in a number of different ways. I'm going to remove that framing filter, and then I'm back to my full report again. I can also click on any one of these pieces of the pie. Meacham Cabin, for example, has sub-jobs, and I can go down and see the detail for those sub-jobs as well. It is my favorite report because I love to be able to manipulate data in a number of different ways, and with this report I can do that, and it's visual, which is kind of nice to look at. Within T-sheets, we have some additional bells and whistles, so to speak, that can help with saving time, or at least being aware of where the time is going. For one thing, from a time-saving standpoint, the employees enter in their own time, whether it's on the punched-out time card, the manual time card, or one of our mobile apps, or by dial-in or text-in. The employees have to be entering their time on a spreadsheet or something, or paper time cards anyway. May as well get it into the computer immediately. So we have a number of different ways, both at the office or in a mobile environment, where they can put their time into T-sheets. And then it's available here on the website for the manager or administrator to see in the moment. So we're not waiting for timesheets to show up at the end of the pay period. We're not having to manually enter anything. In fact, I was speaking with a new bookkeeper that we're working with last week, and she said that for her own office alone, her payroll has gone from 6 hours down to 2 hours, and she knows as she becomes more familiar with T-sheets, it's going to drop to even less time each week to run her payroll. So that's significant time savings right there. We can also turn on things like overtime alerts to be aware of when overtime is happening. So rather than waiting until it's time to run payroll to realize, oh my goodness, we have a lot of overtime, you can find out when that overtime is happening by turning on overtime alerts. You can customize things to a great extent within T-sheets by assigning service items to customers or assigning customers to employees, and really make that time tracking component efficient. And efficiency means saving time, and that's really what we're in the business of doing, is saving you time by making your time tracking efficient. And then again, send it off to QuickBooks through a sync to either QuickBooks Online or QuickBooks Desktop, and then from there there's so many more things that you can do with that time that was tracked. That was a whirlwind in a very short period of time. We can definitely go into much more detail about T-sheets, but for the sake of time today, I'm going to go ahead and kick it back over to Kelly.
Awesome, Debbie. Thanks for that quick and dirty overview of T-Sheets. We love it because T-Sheets is such a robust program. It really is hard to show everything in 10 minutes, but Debbie is so good at just at a really high level showing the important stuff so that you can get a good sense of what it does. If it's something you are interested in learning more about, and we are going to have a panel session where we address a lot more of some of the benefits of using both the Intuit payroll products and T-Sheets, but just feel free to reach out to the folks at EBS. They can get you set up with, at minimum, a 2-week free T-Sheets trial, and then because you're connected with them, you get an entire team to support you, specifically dedicated to your account. So it's pretty cool. Debbie, thanks so much.
And thank you,
You're
Kelly.
welcome. My pleasure.
Thank you, Debbie, very much. Hey, just for the audience out there, the webinar audience, January 14th, mark your calendar, will be our next webinar and part of this series over the next 2 months. We'll continue learning more about how payroll can save you time, as well as learning more. Maybe Debbie can do the next step of another presentation. So please join us. If you're not already, if you don't know someone, or maybe you know someone that would like to join us at the next one, pass on our name and we'll get them an invitation. So I would like now to welcome Brent Coleman with Design Blasting Services. Are you on the line, Brent? Hi, Brent, are you there? Might have to come back to him. Brent is a client of EBS Associates and has offered to join us today because EBS has set Brent's company up on T-Sheets and processed his payroll using assisted payroll. But I think we have some maybe some problems with it looks like he's there.
Here you go. Sorry, Denise, sorry.
There he is. Hey, Brent, how are you? It's Denise.
I'm well, thank you.
We might have to have you speak a little closer, but I'd like to ask you a couple questions. Would you have a few minutes?
Absolutely, I do. I was trying to switch over to my headset. It seems to be malfunctioning. I apologize for that.
So we are in Portland, Oregon, and Brent is one of our virtual customers in Tennessee. He likes to blow stuff up, design blasting services, and we have just a fun time with him and his really cute accent he's got going on there. So I'm going to ask you regarding the Intuit payroll, what were some of the pain points you or your company encountered that led you to choose EBS Associates to process your payroll?
Really, it was just, simply the time involved. And, when you run a business, you kind of quickly realize there are so many demands on your time. You got to step back and evaluate what your time's worth. And we saw how much time we could save having EBS automate that portion of our business. It was really, it was a no-brainer. It seemed that, like most new business owners, are great at handling the core purpose of their business, but they don't really realize what it takes to really run an entire company: accounting, payroll, taxes, all those ancillary things that don't go into your core business.
And are you happy with the Intuit payroll? I mean, how's it been for you? Answer questions. I mean, we do some of your payroll processing because we do your bookkeeping, but in general about Intuit, what's been your experience with the Intuit payroll?
It was great. I remember the first day I realized that what assisted payroll could offer, and just going through that and seeing how much time that was going to save. I could stop worrying about spending so much time managing our payroll. And then, the fee that we had to pay for the assisted payroll was certainly worth that time saving for us.
That's awesome. So I'm going to ask you a couple more questions here. I have, what time tracking method were you using before T-Sheets? Can I ask?
Yeah, that was it was pretty fun. We had superintendents in the field texting every employee's time. At one point, we had each employee texting our project managers their time that was in and out that day. It was just hard to figure out, what jobs they were on, and guys would forget to text their time in and let us know. It was a mess.
I liked your little giggle there. Still the same way. I know. I visit a lot of clients that are doing that don't even know about T-Sheets, and then they, end up getting their apps on their phone, and instead of finding out that they clocked in at 8 o'clock when they were at Starbucks, they actually get to clock in at 8:25 when they're actually on the job site. So you're using those features now and you're enjoying them. That's great. How has T-Sheets improved the workflow of your business?
Well, it's been huge. The employees can now clock in from the app on their phone, like you said. The startup screen, they just pick what job and project they're clocking into, and it's just a lot easier to cost their time to a project without leaving a lot of gray area.
That's awesome. So what were the hurdles you ran into when you rolled T-Sheets out to your staff?
Well, there weren't many hurdles outside of the fact that when you have employees who clock in by texting, that's an option that you can use. That was quite a learning curve for that in the beginning. As was said earlier, T-Sheets can use short codes for payroll service items and clocking in and out, switching jobs. Then you can also text notes in. So all of that functionality available from from texting in is there. It just takes a little while to learn. Once we took a spreadsheet and sent that to our employees and said, okay, these are what all these short codes mean and stand for, that became a lot smoother. As most things, you give somebody so many options, it's just kind of hard to learn that functionality. But if you're using the app on the phone, it's really straightforward. It's a brief tutorial over a couple of minutes, and it's pretty automatic after that.
Geez, that's awesome. So I actually have two more questions for you. One of them is, what is your employee's favorite T-sheet feature?
I think for the guys, it's probably being able to see their time as they're clocking in and out and know what they're going to be paid the following week. They can track their own time and know if there's any mistakes there or anything that needs to be followed up on.
All right. I have one more question for you, then I'll let you get back to blasting up Tennessee, okay?
Thank you.
So what are some of the key benefits that you've seen from using EBS Associates using Intuit Payroll and T-Sheets for your company?
Well, I'd say aside from the time savings, it's really just the accuracy. So much of the payroll is now automated. We don't have to remember to file payroll liabilities, or we're worried that something is misapplied on a check. That accuracy and time savings has been huge.
I think the T-Sheets girls want to hire you. You did really well there. Kelly's over here going, yeah, that's awesome. I hear that. So fun. Well, I can't thank you enough for being a client of EBS. Thank you. You've been with us for, I think, over a year now, maybe longer. And we really enjoy having you. You're one of our favorites. Just your great personality. And thanks for bringing life around here to us, okay? Thank you. Thanks for hanging out with us today. I'm going to go back now and turn this back over to Adrian. Oh, I apologize. I got my notes mixed up here. I'm going to actually go over to Noah and Jason from Intuit, and I've got a few questions for you boys. You ready?
Sure.
We're ready.
These guys are so fun. Let's see how good they are at answering some of our questions today before we get to the webinar attendees' questions. So, Noah, Jason, you guys decide who wants to take this. Why would I change what I do today to use the Intuit Payroll services?
I'll take that one for you, Denise. I think, and this is Jason. I think Brent just kind of really summed it up for us really well, and we kind of talked about it in the beginning. It's that time saver. There's a lot of things I learned about payroll coming to Intuit that even in my prior jobs, I didn't know my employer was responsible to do. So knowing day in and day out that that's a worry for you or, would keep you up at night, take that worry away. Let us, the guys that do this 365 days a year, EBS, T-Sheets, again, we know it inside and out. It's not that you couldn't do it alone. It's just that we can take that worry and that fear away from you. And so, if you're really looking to save time, really looking to get back to what you went to school for, or if you, just are an entrepreneur and came up with this business, go do that. Let us take care of your payroll and go do what you're good at. We get a lot of, I have a lot of local clients that are dentists, and they'll tell me over and over, I did not go to school to learn how to do payroll. I went to school to learn how to be a dentist, but yet I spend most of my time doing payroll. And so there, I would push you to get back to your business.
Awesome. Thank you, Jason. I have a question for Kelly or Debbie. You guys decide who wants to take this. But from T-Sheet standpoint, what would be the #1 reason a small business would want to try T-Sheets, Kelly?
That is such a great question. And yeah, Debbie, if you don't mind, I'll jump in on that one.
Go for it.
I would say the #1 reason would just be the savings. So we've referred a lot to the time savings, and there's a lot of emotional heartstrings that are tugged when you're able to save time within your business. But another really cool thing is that the American Payroll Association actually estimates that a business is going to save at a minimum 2% off their gross payroll costs just by automating their time tracking. So literally switching to T-Sheets, even after you've paid for the product itself, is still going to put money back in your pocket. And that's really empowering. That's money you can spend elsewhere on reinvesting in your business, on continuing education for yourself, hiring new employees. That's how you grow your business. So I would say that's the #1 reason.
Thank you, Kelly.
Yeah.
Hey, so Noah or Jason, why don't we take Noah? What is the most common reason people switch from another payroll company to Intuit? I just saw you in San Jose, and I think I asked you this question then. I loved your answer. So you go.
You did. So most common reason is usually, again, saving time. People are usually using an outside service, doing it manually. So switching over to our payroll options is going to save you time. It's going to all be inside of your accounting system. And then obviously, choosing assisted payroll, you're eliminating that tax responsibility. So people wanting to save that time, pass over the responsibility to Intuit for taxes, and then getting all that detail inside of QuickBooks will allow you to get more detailed job costing reports with inside of your QuickBooks software.
All right, great. Thanks, Noah. I have Joy here that is from our Corvallis office, and she does a lot of payroll, and I asked her to step in to make sure that we have her available if the webinar live audience has questions for any of the actual install stuff. So I'm going to ask you, Joy. So I get into a payroll. I'm a customer. I get into a payroll. What's the next step? Obviously, you go get T-Sheets too.
Well, it's a great question. Yeah, as you've heard today, time is a big thing. So as a business owner, I really don't want to have to focus on running my payroll and stuff. And that's where EBS can come in. We can get you set up with Intuit Assisted Payroll or Enhanced Payroll. We can get you set up with T-Sheets. We'll help you set up all your payroll items and all the things that you need to have ready to go, make sure it's hitting compliance. And then, yeah, you get back to doing what you do. We take that next step and just put it all together for you.
Yeah, so that's cool. Kind of like probably a good one day.
Yes, exactly.
24 hours. We can have it all going on. And then we don't leave you hanging because we have customer service here. You run into a problem the second or third day, you have a direct line to EBS, and we make sure that you are smooth sailing and things are going well, so you don't need us anymore. So thanks, Joy. Noah, Jason, can I move between your enhanced payroll option to your assisted payroll option?
I'll take that one as well. You can. So as long as when you're using the enhanced payroll, you're current with all your taxes, you're eligible from moving from the enhanced payroll over to the assisted payroll option. Again, as long as you're current with all your taxes, no payment plans with the state or federal agencies, you're eligible to come over to the assisted payroll and pass that responsibility to Intuit.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that at the end of the year nobody has to worry about W-2s. Why don't you just tell them what it includes?
I'm sorry, I missed the question there, Denise.
Yeah.
What was that?
Can you just mention real quick, I know it's on the presentation, but it includes paying all your taxes, form filing, your W-2s at the end of the year, the whole 9 yards. Can you
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, assisted payroll, it's going to handle all the state, all the federal taxes, year-end W-2s, W-3s. We'll handle all of that for you. So it's something that you're going to process again within QuickBooks, and then we're going to take care of the taxes. Each time you process payroll, we impound those taxes for you and file and pay those on your behalf.
All right, great. Hey, so Debbie, is T-Sheets mainly a solution for hourly employees? What about salaried employees?
Yeah, thank you for asking that question. It is one of my favorite questions to get when I when I'm here taking phone calls at T-Sheets, and because a lot of people think, oh, it's just for hourly, and I don't have any hourly employees, or I don't have any clients that have hourly employees. But T-Sheets is a great solution for salaried employees as well that perhaps need to, well, there's a couple different reasons these days. One is if you do any kind of work for, on project-based work or work for clients. We have so many clients that are things like law firms, architecture firms, physicians' offices where like the physicians are salary but the front desk are not, and it's important to track time when you are tracking, when you need to know how much time did I spend on a particular project, how much time did I spend on a particular client's work for invoicing purposes or for reporting functionality. So there are so many reasons even that a salaried worker would need to track their time and know where their time is being spent. In addition to that, the Affordable Care Act was actually on a slide earlier, and we recently rolled out a report specifically for the Affordable Care Act, and it's a report that helps you determine how many full-time employees and more importantly, how many full-time equivalent employees you have, whether they're salaried or hourly. And so for that reason, too, it's important to know, even for your salary workers, how much time are they spending, and, to know where they fall into those calculations. So T-Sheets is a great solution, not only for your hourly people, but also when you have salaried workers, just to know how much time they're spending and where that time is going.
Appreciate that, Debbie. That's great. That's great. Do you have anything to add, Kelly?
Yeah, I would that's all really good information, Debbie. You definitely hit the nail right on the head. Along with some of the changes that are coming down the pipeline with the Affordable Care Act, one is actually changing the threshold for what qualifies an overtime exempt salaried employee. It does look like those changes aren't going to come into effect until later on in 2016, but kind of our point to business owners is if you aren't tracking time for your salaried employees right now and you have someone who falls below that new threshold, which is about $50,000, how are you going to know if you should give that person a raise and bump them up to the higher pay so they can remain overtime exempt, or are they a true 9-to-5er and you should just change their hourly rate? Those are the types of questions you can't wait until the change is upon you to start gathering the data. You really should start gathering it now. So that's another reason it's really important for salaried employees to still have some sort of time allocation.
Yeah, that's great. That's great feedback, Kelly. Thanks so much. So, hey, Jason, what are the key benefits of using assisted payroll? Can you, do you remember what they are? Being the big wig over at Intuit?
Well, I mean, I think the best part about using assisted payroll is that it's in QuickBooks. So you're killing two birds with one stone. You get that integrated software, you get the accountability, the reporting features, the structure, you get the data at your fingertips, and so by having that there for you, being able to process your payroll either via paper check or direct deposit, there's so many more benefits that I could probably take the rest of the time on this call, Denise.
Well, why don't you save it for January 14th when we do the next one, and we'll make sure that we get some of those lined out for that, okay? That'd be great. Thanks. So I just have one more for each of you, then we're going to open it up to our live webinar audience here. But Joy from EBS, what level of detail can I get if I use Intuit Payroll? Like what is the level I can get? I like to be able to cost out my jobs. Can I set up a report or tracking in QuickBooks that will give me that level of information?
Absolutely. That's actually a really good question. There's a lot of different industries that use job costing on some level. So having QuickBooks, having your payroll, assisted payroll right inside QuickBooks is automatically going to give you access that some of the other companies, if you have your payroll outside of QuickBooks, will not, because you're just journal entering that information in versus it being right there in QuickBooks. Using T-Sheet in specific, you can also choose the payroll items that you're wanting to price to. So when I go back into QuickBooks, when I've imported my information from T-Sheets into QuickBooks, I can run detailed reports about job costing that will be able to itemize out exactly where my labor is supposed to go. So what category it goes into, and I can use, there's a whole jobs time and mileage place where I can run reports and see how much my percentage of time is being billed versus non-billable. And all of that can be done if you're using the system inside of QuickBooks.
Well, that's awesome. Okay, so I think I have one more for Kelly or Debbie. I'll let you guys decide. And then I have one more for Noah and Jason. Then we're going to tackle some of those questions that are coming in. We've got a ton of them coming in. So, Kelly, Debbie, how quickly can a business expect to see benefits from using T-Sheets? And do you have any tips for businesses who are trying T-Sheets for the very first time?
Oh, that's a great question. I would say, and Debbie would love your input on this. Debbie works on our pro support team, so she's actually on the phones talking to our accounting partners and talking to our customers every single day. So you might have some great insight into this, but I think you can start to see the benefits really rapidly. We have customers tell us all the time that I had no idea that this was even a problem in my life until I finally switched to you guys and realized I'd been fighting the system for so long. Their employees tell them eventually once they get over the learning curve, which can take a couple of weeks for them to get in the habit, but once they do, their employees are like, why did we waste so much time on spreadsheets? And you will start to see that payroll savings trickle in relatively quickly too. Debbie, do you have any, one short good story to share, and then we could move on to a tip?
You know, I'm just thinking of, and I know I mentioned it briefly earlier, is just that new bookkeeper that I was talking with recently, and she had just been in T-Sheets for a matter of a week, and she said that she had already seen her time savings. So there's a huge benefit there, is time savings to be able to go on and do those more important things. Go from 6 hours spent on paychecks and payroll and timesheets and all that in a week down to, from 6 hours down to 2 hours. And that was just in her first week alone. And she knows that that's going to become even more efficient. So I think, you'll see those efficiencies almost immediately with not having to go beg for paper timesheets or do a lot of data entry. The time savings aspect is really almost immediate, the most immediate benefit.
Awesome. And my biggest tip would honestly just be to take advantage of our customer experience team. We have the most phenomenal support in the entire, I would say world.
Universe.
Honestly. Yes, thank you.
I'm telling you, best ever.
Yeah. So if you're having any struggles, we have live chat. Obviously, you can call in or email in. It's all real people that answers, and they're the best. They're the best team ever.
That's great. Well, Kelly and Debbie, I thank you so much for being part of our panel discussions. You guys be here when we liven up the party with some of our live webinar questions. But Noah and Jason, I have one more for you. Actually, I think this one's for Noah. What is the funniest thing you have ever heard about payroll?
Actually, I think Jason has the best story of this.
Jason? Okay, who's got it?
Oh, Jason has a good one.
All right, I'll take it. So I don't know if I guess it's directly related to payroll, but one of the things that's key at Intuit, especially when you're switching your payroll, mid-year or during the time of the calendar year and you have historical payroll, one thing we help you with is get that data into our system and make sure it's all there so we can do W-2s for you at the end of the year. So one of my agents had a conversation with a client, and we were trying to get that payroll history from him, and he said, you know what, I'm sorry, I have a problem. I can't give you last week's payroll data. And so, of course, we start probing what's going on, what happened. He said, well, money was really tight around here, and so I unfortunately just paid him in gas and beer. And so I don't have any payroll history for last week. So that would be a reason why you guys need a payroll solution. We can help you avoid that because that's a big problem. So luckily we worked it out. I don't remember exactly what we did, but we definitely got them on service and got them taken care of. But they got beer and gas in addition to their payroll.
Well, you guys, I just love you guys to death. I've known you guys for a long time, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing you guys at our conference, April 26th and 27th, to do some live stuff with payroll, and you're going to be back January 14th to share some more payroll stuff. We're just excited about all that. Love your commitments to that. I'm going to go with Adrienne Montgomery with our marketing division, and she's going to work on the live webinar audience and their questions. So Adrian, I'm going to turn over to you.
Thank you, Denise. Fantastic presentation, everybody. I'm so excited to be part of this. We do have several questions, but before I start announcing these questions, I'm going to go ahead and launch a poll. If the audience could just take a moment to answer these polls while we're announcing the questions, that would be awesome. So here's the first one. Are you interested in learning more about Intuit Payroll? If you could just answer yes or no, just take a minute out and answer that question. That would be great. And the first question we have here is for T-Sheets. Do you have a sample file we could review before purchasing T-Sheets?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good question. And we do have everybody that signs up for T-Sheets can get a 2-week free trial. EBS also has a demo account that has live data in it. So if you guys are interested, just let them know and they can show you what their demo file looks like, so what an active T-Sheets account would look like. And then if you need additional information or assistance above and beyond that, they can connect you with our amazing pro support team like Debbie, who's on the call today, and they'll take good care of you.
Thank you, Ashley, for that question. And Ashley does have another question. How does all of this apply, and maybe, Joy, this is a good question for you, to helping avoid year-end payroll processing mistakes? And some of those, if you could share some of those mistakes, Joy, that can occur without Intuit payroll assistance, and then how you've been able to overcome year-end payroll processing mistakes by implementing this solution.
Great question. So to answer that, as far as like year-end reports and stuff, if you are on assisted payroll, they will actually process all of those for you. So you don't have to worry about creating your W-2s or doing any of that. That information is just done for you. And that has been a huge time saver for several of my clients. They start to stress as they get towards year-end. In fact, I had somebody call me just today and say, I'm really worried about my W-2s. What am I going to do? And I said, honey, you're on assisted payroll. So you're going to just wait, and it's going to come to you. You don't have to worry about it. So that's really the biggest plus. I mean, we've heard a lot about saving time today, right there, and stress. You don't have to worry about it.
And what are some of the mistakes that can occur? Do you have any off the top of your head if you don't have this automation in place? What are some of the mistakes that people can make that, you know, they have to go back and redo and causes lots of wasted time?
Yeah, good question as well. When you're using this combo package here that we're talking about today, assisted payroll and then also T-Sheets, first of all, you're checking your payroll all year long. So you're not just looking at it at the end of the year and trying to see, oh, do I have mistakes from back in February? So that's the nice part about it, is it's being tracked as you go. So when you get to the end, you're not as worried about it. Now, if you're not using the system, the mistakes that I've seen, people not even realizing that they had to turn in W-2s. We've had companies call us and say, we didn't know we had to send anything to the IRS. We thought we just had to give it to our employees. Well, that's kind of a problem. The IRS also wants to see their reports. We also have people who will come to us and say, I haven't filed my last 3 or 4 quarters. Is that a problem? Well, yeah, kind of. Now, we can help you get caught up. But if you're using assisted payroll, you don't have to get caught up. It's just being done for you.
And what kind of penalties are assessed if you don't file with the IRS, for example, or if you file late? Do you know how that all
well, I'm not going to quote exact numbers. I can't quote exact numbers. What I can tell you is it is based on how much payroll you have. So even if it's a percentage. So if you have, just a few employees, it's still going to be a relatively high amount. I did have one client I met with that we had to catch up on all of his quarters, and he brought me in a 2-inch thick ream of letters from the IRS because they hadn't been receiving it. So, if you figure that it's even, I don't know, $50 per page, that's quite a bit of money. It adds up.
I mean, it could actually shut you down for a few days, it seems like, or even a few weeks to catch up with the errors that can come with duplicate data entry and things of that nature.
Absolutely. And really, do you want to roll the dice with the IRS? Probably not.
I wonder who will win that one.
Right.
So how does the phone-in feature work? Thank you, Sarah, for that question.
Yeah, Debbie, do you want to jump in on that one?
Absolutely. So with our mobile options, with both the phone in and the dial and the text in, you can use a standard feature phone, and the admin on the T-Sheets account would select a phone number that's hopefully local for all of the users to utilize. You basically select the number that you want from a list of numbers that the employees would call into, and then they would either, with phone in, they just dial in. They use some short codes that you assign in the T-Sheets account to assign their time to a customer, a sub job, and clock themselves in, and then they dial in at the end of their shift or to switch to another customer or job, and use short codes again just to switch their job or to clock themselves out. Text in works in a similar way, except with that you're just sending a little coded text message to track the time. Really convenient for people who don't have an internet connection and need to track their time away from away from the office.
And we do have another poll up on the screen, you guys. If I could just ask the audience real quick, if you could answer this one. Are you interested in learning more about T-Sheets? If you could answer yes or no, we would really appreciate that. And we have one more question we're going to announce here from Jim. Thank you so much for your question. If I have a new customer and job, do I have to manually add that customer and job in T-Sheets, or does that QB sync to T-Sheets?
Kelly, do you mind if I grab this one?
Not at all. Go ahead, Debbie.
With the integration with QuickBooks, whether it's QuickBooks Online or Desktop, because we do integrate with both, the beauty of it is that you'll just put that new customer and job into QuickBooks where it needs to go anyway, and then with the sync, when you sync into T-Sheets, it'll just draw that new customer and job into T-Sheets. So you enter it manually into QuickBooks and then sync it into T-Sheets. We do not like duplicate data entry over here. So whether it's a new employee, customer, sub-job, service item, class, whatever the case may be, that will go first into QuickBooks and then sync it into T-Sheets.
And I do see that 60% of you have voted. If we can get to 100, that would be amazing. If we could, we're 70%. I see it moving, 80%.
Okay. So hey, Adrian, I've got a couple things to add to it. I'd like to kind of ask, I got to kind of go over a few of the 9 ways to avoid year-end payroll processing mistakes that we promised. I want to make sure that everyone feels that we've covered those. One, payroll has just become too complex for most of you. If it has gotten there, then reach out, please, to Kelly or myself, and let's go over a game plan of how we might implement payroll. When it becomes too complex, there's a way to simplify it. Sometimes you just have to review it. As far as payroll rules and regulations, Jason, wouldn't you agree that Intuit takes care of that? You don't really have to worry about it anymore because they make sure we're following the rules and the regulations are noticed. They send good information on all the time.
That's correct.
Okay, great. Well, thank you. So that's real important. Payroll is not a money-making activity, and mistakes are costly. And so, making sure that you're not, Intuit takes the responsibility if for some reason they miss a deadline, which I personally have never experienced that. But, I'm sure Intuit's not perfect. Although, I don't know, I kind of think you are. But we'll go with the fact that if there was a mistake, you guys do pick up the fines and the penalties. Do you agree with that, Jason?
Yes, ma'am. We own it. If it was our issue, we're there for you.
You personally, right?
Sure, yeah.
Payroll deadlines. You don't need to stress over paycheck processing deadlines anymore. Payroll deadlines. You get the time in using a T-Sheets time card system. It integrates right into QuickBooks. You process the time into a paycheck and you hit go. And when you do that, you're done. You wash your hands of it. So there is not a reason that payroll deadlines can't be met. Payroll expenses, all of them are taken care of. And honestly, it's not that expensive. It's like $2 a check. Did we go over that?
Mm-hmm.
So, Kelly, why don't you just quickly tell them the pricing of it just in general?
So for the assisted payroll, it is $80 per month plus $2 per employee per payroll.
And I think T-Sheets has,
T-Sheets is a base fee of $20 per month, and then it's just an additional $5 per active user you have using T-Sheets. So if you have 5 employees, it's $45 a month.
I mean, how can you beat that? I mean, it's just like free.
That's practically free, and through EBS, you actually get an additional 10% off. So even more free.
Even like more free.
Even like more free.
Yeah. So make sure you reach out to Kelly to get that constant discount. You know, you just definitely get better time tracking when you use T-Sheets. And obviously, QuickBooks integration, simple to do. Whether you're in QuickBooks Online, QuickBooks Desktop, QuickBooks Enterprise, and you know, I don't know, it's just so simple. It's just awesome. It's a matter of pushing a button if it's set up correctly. So we hope that you all want to improve your efficiencies and make payroll, take the headaches out of payroll. I'm still on the line. Does anyone have a question for me, Denise Floater-Cook? I'd like to make sure that you have my email, Denise, D-E-N-I-S-E, @teachmequickbooks.com. If you at the audience, we only had an hour today. We're going to close in just a second. You have anything you'd like to hear from us on or add to our panel questions for January 14th, please feel free to email me directly or Kelly directly, and we'll make sure those questions get answered as we move forward. Thank you for joining us today. Adrian, thank you for hosting our panelists. Looks like we got 90% voted, so anxious to see how that turned out. Kelly and Debbie, thank you so much for being on our panel. And Jason, bigwig and Intuit, and Noah, second bigwig and Intuit. I love you guys, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Denise, real quick, we do have one last question. I don't know if you have a minute just to take this question, but it seems like a simple one. What if an employee has a 401k deduction, sorry?
You simply set it up in the payroll item, so you can have the deduction added and also the employer contribution. It's all in the payroll setup, and they take care of that. As far as the payment, Intuit doesn't make that payment. The company is responsible for making that payment.
So perfect. Well, that just about wraps it up. Thank you, Ann, for that last question, and thank you, everybody, for joining me today and being part of this webinar. We will be sending a follow-up email from Kelly at teachmequickbooks.com. It will contain all the contact information you see on the screen right now, and it will also contain a webinar recording where you can listen over the webinar, and also please visit our YouTube channel. The recording will be on our YouTube channel, so there's a bunch of other videos you might be intrigued with there as well that pertain to QuickBooks, and I just want to thank everyone for spending an hour of your time with us. We know it's hard to come by, and we really appreciate it. Have a very happy holiday, and thanks again.